three. Your careful.
俺には勝てないって
Round one. Fight.
「
Let me be the lesser of all. Channel to heroes, good for the guys, spouse.
Yep.